Okay, it's slightly over, but no matter. Welcome along to the last planning committee meeting of the civic year. We'll begin with apologies. Any apologies submitted, please?
Yes, we got apologies from councillors Darcy and Poyser, and no substitutions were supplied by either.
Okay, thank you very much. Yes, of course, Rebecca.
I think Councillor Stoneman emailed Democratic Support this morning as well to send his apologies. So if we can mark him as
we'll
apologies.
Take you submitting them on his behalf.
He texted and said he's emailed, but I'm happy to do it on his behalf. So.
That's fine. We'll record those. Thank you very, very much. Declarations, declarations of interest. Can we all put a collective personal interest for item 6.1 in as much as it's the application from a serving city councillor? So I think common sense would say that we all know Councillor Patel, and if we can record that. I'm not seeing any objections there. Any other declarations? Nope. We'll move on then to the minutes from the November meeting. Any issues on the minutes? No. If not, I will sign them as a true record. And I'll pass those on when we're finished. Urgent business. I would at this stage like to congratulate the Vice Chair on her soon-to-be appointment to an election as Lord Mayor, Tina. Obviously, you won't, whatever else happens to any of us, clearly you won't be Vice Chair of this committee for the next civic year, but I'm sure we'd all like to say a huge thank you for your support and contributions that you've made, and we wish you well when you take over this chair in a much more august role than I occupy. So,
thank you very much.
Yep. Okay, I've got no other business. Do we have any questions from members of the public? Nope. Thank you. Takes on then to item number 6, the planning applications. And the first at page 5 is one that we've already touched on. And let me get my papers out. There we are. Natasha, anything to add in terms of what we've had so far?
Nothing to add on to my report now.
Thank you. What I'll do, because this is only a referral purely because of the identity of the applicant, I'll ask if there are any questions or comments on the application. Patrick, in that case, do we need to hear the presentation? If you've got, is it about the actual planning merits?
Well, it's just for completeness and public record. The report says decision category PCC employee. We ought to say PCC member, because my understanding, last time I looked on the application form, you need to declare whether you're a member or related to a member or an employee. So I think just for completeness and public record.
The procedure applies to both, but you're absolutely quite right. So if we could make sure that's clear in the minutes, and if we could make sure that's amended just for public record, that would be great. Are there any, Patrick, thank you for that. Are there any planning issues anybody wants to raise? No. If not, we will then move to the vote, and the recommendation, as you can see on page 5, is to grant conditionally. So if we could move to the vote and vote accordingly, please. I will declare that carried. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thanks, Tasha. And we'll wait for Amy to take up the position. item 6.2 at page 11 in your papers, and we've moved on to 11 St Leven Road. And Amy, over to you.
Thank you, Chair. I just wanted to make you aware there was an addendum report with this application, which includes comments from our local lead flood authority, who had raised that they had no objection in principle to the scheme, subject to a condition requiring further details on the infiltration rates, which the agent has agreed to. It is also, and it includes an assessment of the Council's climate emergency policy, which, considering the scale of the development proposed, it's not considered appropriate to incorporate on-site renewable energy generation or request additional climate mitigation. So the application today is being determined by Planning Committee, as the proposal has been considered as a departure of the development plan. The proposal is for the installation of a kiosk to house a new gas governor within a new fence compound and demolition of an existing gas governor. For reference, I have included a definition of a gas governor because I had to understand what that was. So a gas governor controls the pressure of gas throughout the mains gas network. It ensures that the gas flow is within a predefined rate, and if the supply pressure is too low or too high, it then regulates it to keep it within the set flow. The application site is located in the Stoke ward of the city and contains an existing gas governor, as well as a mix of hard standing land, scrub vegetation, and is a former gas works. Residential properties are located to the north and south of the site, and there's commercial properties located at either side. This image shows a close-up of the application site with the existing gas governor kiosk located within the centre. The proposal seeks to demolish and replace this existing gas governor on site, as it cannot be upgraded or upscaled. The proposed gas governor will be placed in an alternative location to avoid extended periods of temporary reduced gas supply during construction, and will ensure the long-term supply of gas to the local area. The site is allocated in the Joint Local Plan under Policy PLY 58.9 for 57 homes. The allocation seeks that development on the site considers access to be achieved from St Leven Road and for investigation and remediation of contaminated land. The site is referred to in the Joint Local Plan as the former gasworks site, St Leven Road in Keam. It was included in the plan for development of 57 homes during the plan-making process, where the landowner confirmed that the site was available for development. The number of units within the policy were derived by using a capacity formula. Policy PLY 58.9 does not propose for the development of gas-related infrastructure on the site, and consequently this proposal is a departure of the policy in the adopted development plan. The proposal will see the gas governor within its kiosk and compound being relocated from a central location to the southeast corner. The proposal will result in the loss of approximately 4 metres of existing non-native laurel hedgerow. However, the application was supported by an ecological impact assessment, which provides mitigation, avoidance and enhancement measures, which include planting of a new hedgerow surrounding the proposed kiosk, or additional planting of native species to fill in the gaps of the existing hedgerow. Cutting back the existing laurel to allow for new species to establish, installation of a bat box within the kiosk, installation of a nesting box within the existing retained hedgerow, and creation of habitat piles. These proposed measures are considered to be acceptable and the Natural Infrastructure team have not raised any objections to the scheme. It is considered the proposal would not have an adverse impact on the existing environment or ecology, with the added condition ensuring the development to comply with the measures set out the ecological impact assessment. It is considered the proposal complies with the Joint Local Plan. The proposal would demolish the existing gas governor and its kiosk on site and install a new kiosk containing the gas operators and a new 2.4 metre high galvanised steel fence. The existing kiosk measures approximately 9 by 6 metres, with the proposed kiosk measuring about 11 by 5 metres. The colour of the kiosk would be holly green and would be surrounded by chippings, and would have the 2.4 metre fence surrounding to create the compound. It's considered that the structure has a utilitarian and functional design fit for its purpose. It would be small in scale and would not dominate the surrounding landscape. Development would be sited on an area of existing hard standing, and it's considered acceptable in design terms. For comparison, I've got the plans of the existing gas governor that was on site that dates back to 1988. The existing gas governor kiosk and compound covers an area of approximately 174 square metres, while the proposal would cover an area of 171 square metres. Therefore, it would cover an area just under of that of the existing kiosk and compound. Here are some images of the existing gas governor kiosk just for reference. It is noted also that the general permitted development order allows for certain types of development for gas apparatus to be completed without the need of planning permission. However, given there is restrictions on the size of the buildings that can be provided and the sizes of fencing, therefore, because this development doesn't comply with that, it requires a planning application. We received no public comments and no objections were raised by consultees. It is noticed that the proposal is not specifically allowed within the anticipated use of the site, as in policy PLY 58.9. However, it is considered that the proportion of the site needed for the proposal is small, and that the siting of the relocated gas governor would minimise the impact of the development on bringing forward the site forward for housing as allocated in the joint local plan. The relocation of the existing gas governor would not stop the allocated site coming forward for housing. The development of the relocation of the gas governor on site is therefore considered acceptable and is recommended for conditional approval. Thank you.
Amy, thank you very much indeed. I don't think we've got any speakers on this item, so it's now open to the committee. Patrick.
Thank you very much indeed, Chair. Just a couple of points. I'm very familiar with this site, having lived very close to it for 25 years of my life a number of years ago. So, is there a requirement for the new gas governor house to be accessed from the public highway? Do you know?
When I'd spoken to them and asked, why are you relocating? I think one thing that they did come back and say, it's easier for them if it is accessed directly from the highway. There's not going to be as much gas infrastructure that will have to go right across the site, which also helps with the housing allocation. And so if the site was going to come forward for housing, there isn't going to be as much gas pipework underneath.
Thank you. So, where I'm coming from is obviously the street scene, and the street scene's been blighted in this area for a very, very long time because the gas holders were there for generations. Could it not be configured? And I note that there was no pre-application consultation with the local planning authority, but the configuration does it have to be that it's that much of the sort of street scene that's affected, and it can't be orientated around as the old Governor House sort of runs along the boundary rather than fronting the road. I just think there's an opportunity on this site, and the joint local plan took the opportunity to look at housing. On the other side of the site, you've got effectively an old disused petrol station, which is now car sales. There's a warehouse that is behind the housing in St Leven Road, next to so there's a garage that takes you into warehousing, where the petrol station used to be, and it's now car sales. And all this complicates the redevelopment of the site for housing, so I accept we need it, but I just wonder whether it's the orientation and the layout is the best possible what we could achieve on the site. But I don't suppose they've really had much discussion with you about it is what it is, and that's it, I suppose.
Yeah, that's exactly how it was.
Final question, if I may, Chair. So on the hedge, why can't it be moved back to preserve the hedge then?
Again, it is a case of we haven't asked the question of to preserve the hedge. We've got no objection to its loss. They are proposing some mitigation measures, therefore we haven't raised an objection to it.
No.
I think this is probably under the heading of we can only decide what's in front of us, and I don't think you're making any unfair or illogical observations there, but it's not for us to design the scheme or the application. That's one of the problems for us.
I think if it had been in Plymouth and Samaria, I would have had some bit more to do with it. But having lived in the area, this is an opportunity to improve it. You've got their own representative for Stoke that probably ought to perhaps get involved in this. But it is what it is. And thanks for answering the questions, Amy.
I presume Patrick's aware of the big gasometers planned for Woodford, so you'll have your chance. On a serious note, coming on slightly from one of Patrick's points, if this were does go ahead and get implemented, what are the implications for the rest of the footprint of the Red Line in terms of housing allocation? Does this take that away as a future possibility?
No, so that's one of the main and key considerations in this case. So everything that's outside the red line is still within that allocation, and it will be looked at. It is within the joint local plan allocated for that housing. So this will not stop that from happening.
Okay, that's helpful. Thank you. Rebecca.
Thank you. I suppose on a similar theme to what's just been said, if it were to remain where it is, that ultimately would have made the delivery of the housing even harder, I'm guessing. So although it might not be in what we consider an optimum location, it is going to actually aid the delivery of PLY 59, I'm assuming. Is that the case?
Yeah, again, there's been no detailed designs or anything like that, but I suppose from a design perspective, to have it taken up from the middle of the housing site then put to the edge, I think it helps facilitate with that housing.
Any more? Kathy.
I'm probably going to get the same comment as you gave to Patrick, but the height of the fence appears to be lower than the actual height of the building. And if the fence was actually the same height, you wouldn't actually see what was behind it, so it would be preferable for the street scene.
Have we got any flexibility in that regard? Again, a very valid observation, but it's what powers have we got, I suppose?
It's a balustrade fence, so there will be some visibility between. So I think if we raised it, there'll still be that, I suppose, intervisibility of seeing it behind it. And at 2.6 metres in height, I'd say it's still fairly high. And I think the height of the building is 3 metres, so there's 40 centimetres difference.
And I think, in fairness, Patrick's probably given us the answer in terms of this isn't certainly on this side of St. Levan Road at this end isn't a beautiful historic terrace that's being interrupted. You've already got a second-hand car dealership. You've got the job centre at one end, which is brutalist in the extreme, I think, in terms of its architecture. Then you've got, is there the church, the Pentecostal? Didn't want to offend anybody there. So there's not a great deal of beauty being lost as it is, but the points are made. I think, as the cliche goes, it is what it is, and the recommendation is to grant conditionally. So if there's no more questions, we'll move to the vote, if we may. And I'll declare that one carried. Thank you very much indeed. I hope no one was planning on doing anything this evening, because we've got lots still to get through. Anything on the applications that have been decided and brought to our attention? No. Anything on appeal decisions? Stuart, is there anything you need to raise or would like to highlight? No, I don't think we've got any exempt business, so that's the end of the items on the agenda, but I just would like to say one or two things. Firstly, Ian Tuffin, this is your last planning committee. Don't look so happy when I say that, but thank you for all your service and contributions. I think this would have been James's last meeting, so can you pass our best wishes and thanks on to him. Thanks to everybody on the committee who has played their parts and made the meetings productive. And Stuart and Julie, can you take our thanks back to all your colleagues for the support and professionalism that they bring, and to our Democratic Sport colleagues as well. I think that's about it. So whether it's record time or not, I don't know, but I'm going to stick my neck out and say it is. Thanks to everybody, and see you next time, most of you.